Welcome to another episode of Garage Pod. I'm Steel Haugen,
I'm Clint Haugen.
and we are fans passionate about mixed martial arts, particularly UFC, and of course some other professional sports. I have a little bit of professional sports media background, and he does a little bit of training and yeah. All right, a little bit of training and teaching and coaching and all that stuff, and we're going to talk about UFC 303. So, first pay-per-view. We'll just start off saying a lot of cancellations. A lot of, this was originally supposed to be McGregor Chandler, then Jamal Hill, Anthony Smith, Carlos Oliver, all sorts of craziness that didn't fall through. But ultimately, then Alex Pereira and Yuri, and then it kind of saved the fight card a bit, just having those two have their rematch. And this we'll start. Is there anything in the early prelim fights that's worth mentioning? I guess Andrei Arlovsky says he's gonna be done with the UFC, but not with his mixed martial arts career. I think he's 44 years old, so Hall of Famer, no doubt, gonna get that bid here. Michelle Waterson also retired. Played a little tribute to her, which was interesting. A lot of people were surprised that Michelle Waterson got a big tribute, but retirement. Congratulations, Michelle Waterson. She lost pretty handedly, but fun career overall, I'd say. Big name coming from the women's organization Invicta, I believe, and then starting up kind of when the UFC roster was really getting going with the girls. Anything else you want to say?
Not really.
All right, we'll move on. Jean Silva defeats Charles Jourdain by KO.
Wait, I wanted to talk about.
Or Peyton Talbot. Yeah,
no.
Jillian Robertson?
No. Oliveira looked so nice against Ricky Simon. The first fight of the night.
I have no memory of that fight.
He was the really crafty striker. Simon had nothing for him, like literally nothing. Like it was 327, 327. He landed that kick at the end where he went behind his back and then
yes, he did that
punch.
kick. He did like the like the behind the back kick.
He was super nice.
Yeah, he was good.
Ricky Simon did not look good, or I don't know if Oliveira is just that good of a fighter, but Ricky Simon was either off or Oliveira is just nice with it.
Yeah, fighter to look out for.
Yeah, honestly, for me, this fight card was super lackluster.
Yeah.
For a pay-per-view, for a big pay-per-view. Like he said, fell through with a lot of big fights, and this was just underwhelming. A lot of these fighters took these fights on short notice, which you never want. Like ideally, you can have healthy fighters on a full fight camp. But a lot of fighters took it on short notice, a lot of different weight things. So not super happy with the fight card. They threw it together, but we'll see what happens in the future for these fight cards and some of these fighters. Well, I did think that the Japanese kid,
Rei Tatsura defeats Carlos Hernandez.
He looked nice too when we were talking about like Japanese fighters.
He was the other 125 flyweight. We talked about Tara a little bit before headlining. I think he's going to be the flyweight champion within a year and a half. And then Rei Tatsura, not as impressive, but impressive grappling.
Really good grappling. Like these Japanese kids got really nice jiu-jitsu, really nice wrestling, piecing it together super well. So that's impressive to see Japan kind of rising up.
Yeah.
And then we had to talk about Peyton.
Yes, Peyton Talbot. So he, I don't know if that was his debut, but Samian, his previous opponent, absolutely whooped him. Samian was a highly regarded prospect. And then this was kind of his second fight from the Ultimate Fighter to the UFC to here in 19 seconds. I believe it was a 1-2, left, right, sit him on his butt, finishes it. I don't know. He looks phenomenal, but it's tough to say until you really get to a high level where people are really at. But it's fun. With a lot of fun not lightweight, but lighter weight fighters, bantamweight, flyweight, the other way. A lot of fun ones that we've seen the last few weeks.
Peyton, he posted a video on I think it was TikTok or maybe all the social media, but it was like this giant poster and all these pictures and all these like diagrams, and it was him talking to his opponent about how to beat him. And one of the things he talked about, the key to beating him would be to land leg kicks. And then Peyton Talbot's 1-2. So he posted this. I think he even said he was going to post it in the guy's native language or something so he could understand. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. But he landed the 1-2 right as the guy was throwing the leg kick. So he told him how to beat him, and then the first leg kick he threw, he countered it. And that was the strike that he was telling him to throw against him. So that was pretty. Peyton Talbot's actually really interesting outside of the cage too. The other thing was his interview with Ariel Helwani. I don't know if you saw it, but they talked about, and I can't believe the UFC does this, but as soon as he was done with his media obligations,
That's right, yeah.
the UFC kicked him out of the arena. They were like, "Do you have a ticket to watch the fight?" And he was like, "No, I just fought." And they were like, "We don't care. If you don't have a ticket, you can't stay in the building. You got to go." And people were saying, that's what happened to Johnny Walker when Johnny Walker was, those videos emerged where he's just in his gloves and in his shorts outside of the arena. I don't know if you remember that.
No,
but
I don't.
He said the same thing. He said, "I got done with the media, and they were like, okay, you're gone. And I didn't even have my clothes, and I couldn't even go back." And he got kicked to the streets. Same thing happened to Peyton Talbot. He said he went on to a certain streaming website that none of us use because we are all law-abiding citizens who buy every pay-per-view because we can afford all of them.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And all right, yeah, Peyton Talbot. He's going to be fun to watch. Great clean striking. Is there any? He's a bantamweight, correct?
Yeah.
Anyone on the top of your head that sticks out as a potential opponent? I mean, do you give him top 15 already? Do you give him a veteran? I don't know. It's tough to say. I mean, you can give him maybe Rafael dos Anjos type of fight. Not Rafael dos Anjos. Sunsao, if he's still fighting around. Cody Garbrandt, that's a big name for him, but I think that's a fun one. I think that's a striking one. I think that's one that can propel him into stardom. Yeah, that's just on the top of my head. Kai Kara France, I'm sure he has a fight lined up soon.
Those might be a bit away.
Yeah, I think it just depends what the UFC.
He probably doesn't break the top 15 yet, but if he gets a couple more wins, I could see that happening. Right now, he's just big prospects, somebody to look out for that looks really, really nice.
Enough with Talbot. Gene Silva defeats Charles Jourdain. I feel like I've watched Charles Jourdain from Canada forever, really. But this is kind of the end of his UFC kind of run, it seems like. And I don't remember Gene Silva too much, but it was a KO uppercut in round 2. You remember that at all? I'm sure
No, I remember the names, and I don't remember the KO very well. So,
and the next fight. So congratulations, Gene. Andre Touchy-Feely versus Cub Swanson. Split decision. This was a great fight. It seemed like Cub Swanson, to me, was really trying to push the pace and land a lot of big shots. Andre Feely was kind of countering, but really he was the one initiating all the clinches to try and kind of stop Cub Swanson from landing those big blows. I thought, in my opinion, Cub Swanson won, but they gave it to Feely. Feely came away with a split decision.
I had Feely around 1 and round 3. But yeah, like you said, Feely was kind of on the back foot a lot. Did initiate the clinch. Cub was throwing bombs. I just think maybe Cub has 1 or 2 more fights in him before he should retire. And then Feely's had a long career too. He still looks quick, but I don't think these guys are, going to break the top 10 of that division in their careers. So maybe a few more fights in the UFC and then move on to a different organization for those guys. But
yeah, Andre Feely's kind of had his run too. Cub Swanson's had a great career as far as WEC to here. I mean, he's got to be close to 40, I feel like now at this point. But no sign of, I don't think he's retiring. I don't think there's any sign. I think he looked great. I think as far as just his age and his output and his, he looked good. I think he looked good. I think these guys still have a few good fights in him. I don't see him reaching the top 15, but fun names, fun fights. Joe Pfeiffer defeats Marc-Andre Barriault, KO 1 minute 25 seconds. So Joe Pfeiffer, I believe he was coming off his loss to Jack Hermanson, unanimous decision. I may be wrong, but looked great, looked good, powerful. I mean, he's known to be a KO striker. And then he called out, not to get ahead of myself, but then Paul Craig, which I thought was genius. I mean, that's the ultimate striker versus grappling matchup. The UFC loves that. Paul Craig has a big name. Joe Pfeiffer has a good name. Why not?
Yeah. good call out, good fight, good performance. Minute and 25 in the first round. So yeah, Joe's big.
He's a big guy. And that was middleweight, I believe. I don't think that was light heavyweight. I think that was middleweight, but I may be wrong with it. To the main card, Ian Machado Gary versus Michael Venom Page. So Michael Venom Page coming off his unanimous decision, very impressive against Kevin Holland. And Ian Gary, I think he was on a 6-fight UFC win streak. Defeated Daniel Rodriguez recently. And is there another big name he beat recently? That's the only one that comes.
No, he beat Neil Magny.
Yeah, Neil Magny, he beat 2 decision.
He didn't beat Jeff Neal. They never fought. They were gonna fight, right?
Not Jeff Neal. Yeah.
They were gonna fight.
Yeah.
They were scheduled to.
Yes.
So
yeah, he wore the mugshot shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But you know, MVP shocked. He's got the karate style. He's got the in and out. He's got the speed. He's got the blitz. It just confused the heck out of Ian Gary. He didn't know what to do. I don't know if he landed.
No, he knew exactly what to do.
Well,
Grapple.
he didn't know what to. He
Grapple.
defaulted to grappling because he was getting pieced up on the feet. I don't know if he landed more than 2 strikes to the head standing any round.
No, but the guy had his back for probably 4 or 5 minutes of the fight.
Yep. Yeah.
So
you can discredit Ian for being, I guess, not as stand-up. You know, Kevin Holland said, let's stand up, let's bang. He got beat. Ian says, okay, you're a little trickier. I'm going to be a mixed martial artist. I train in Brazil. And took the back. He didn't really have anything threatening. I don't remember any moments where I thought he was going to finish Michael Venom Page. I don't really remember any moments where he landed any big punches. Control, dominant in control. And your job is to get up. Michael Venom Page couldn't get up. I thought the third round was really close. I think Michael Venom Page was on pace to win the third round, but then Ian Gary took back control, and just maintained that dominant position for two plus minutes and got the decision. I don't know. I don't know if either one of their stocks went up or down. I think I've started to dislike Ian Gary more and more after this performance, even more and more. I'm super happy MVP is in the UFC. I didn't think I would be as entertained by him as I thought, but I'm looking forward to seeing Ian Gary fight some really good guys and see what he's capable of. Once you kind of get into those Rachmanov fights, Colby Covington used some very inappropriate words and verbiages, almost insinuating he really wanted to fight Ian Gary. So those are the type. I think that's a good matchup for Gary. I think that's a bad matchup for Colby. But it'll be interesting to see when he fights those top 5 guys and where he's at.
Yeah, I thought Ian just did what he needs to do to win against a very difficult striker. Very tough puzzle to solve. And to his credit, I think he solved it. He got the victory. You know, he did look good grappling to me. His jiu-jitsu did look nice. He rolled for a heel hook. He threatened with the rear naked choke, I thought, a lot. So I thought he did threaten with his grappling. Both times he had his back. And that's not nothing. That's the most dominant position in jiu-jitsu. So it's the most dominant grappling position you can have, is having somebody's back threatening through a naked choke. So that wins you rounds. That's dominant to me in grappling. Like, you don't want that to happen to you, and you want to get to that position as a grappler. So it was good. He looked nice. Like the MVP is just a tough puzzle to solve.
Yeah, but now you know too. Ian Gary, he's got potential to do a lot of different things if he can't strike, or if he's striking really well and wants to mix it up. There's a lot of
unless he knocked out Daniel Rodriguez. He dominated Neil Magny. Like, he could strike with great strikers. Let's not discredit him entirely.
Yeah, Michael Venom Page is different.
He's different. He's a different type of striker, right? Like, he's a Wonder Boy like fighter, maybe more athletic. You know.
Next opponents.
Yeah.
I mean,
what can we say about
Jack?
the cut.
I wish I could say his name. Jack Della.
Yeah.
I'll just say Jack Della, and I think they're still fighting Rachmanov. I love that fight. Frankly, Jack is a good fight for Ian as far as just entertaining, fun striking and mixing it up. But like I said, he has a fight now. Welterweight is, you got Leon as the champion. You got Colby in there.
I think
If
that
Usman,
you do a fight card in Ireland and you have Ian Gary headline it now.
it's a free fight night. I
Free
think
fight
that would
night.
be great. I
Oh,
think that, yeah,
and I think you maybe do try to have like a Colby Covington,
yeah,
or you do try to have maybe somebody over there in the UK that can bring
yeah.
some hype.
I
And
think,
maybe Jack. Yeah, maybe it's Jack.
yeah,
I think Jack
Colby's a
would be
good one
great.
though. I think Colby, if Colby really wants that,
Colby in Ireland with the trash talk and Ian, like I think it would be very much like it'd be almost like that moment in Connor's career when he went back to Ireland, right? And he fought Dennis Seaver, right? Didn't he fight Dennis
he
Seaver when he went
did,
back to Ireland?
he did.
Now Colby's not Dennis Seaver, that's for sure. Colby's a lot tougher fight than
Well,
that.
Ian's not
But
Conor McGregor either, but
this is true.
Irish fun. We haven't seen the Irish crowd in a long time.
Yeah, this is the
Conor's
time.
been inactive. If you can get the Irish crowd back with Ian and then Conor's coming through, that'll be fun for sure. MVP, I mean, you give him Wonder Boy, the karate versus karate. I don't know if that'll be fun or not. Is there Neil Magny too? You can give him the gatekeeper. I mean, there's a lot of fun welterweights. There's some up and comers too. So we'll see. You can do a lot. I don't know where he's probably signed a big contract, and he's probably just going to fight out his contract with the UFC and be done. I didn't know how old he was. 37, 38.
He's been around for a long time.
Yeah. All right. I talked enough about those guys. And then the cut. Yeah. So I knew Mayra Bueno Silva just from previous fights. I knew she was a power striker, and I knew she was legit. Never heard of Macy Chiasson before. A little recap. It seemed like Mayra Bueno Silva was doing everything right as far as just pressure, punches. Every time she landed, it seemed like it was doing major damage. And Macy Chiasson, it just looked like she was going to get overwhelmed. I thought it was going to be a decision. I thought maybe Mayra might fade out a little in the third, and maybe Macy Chiasson would have got that third round, but it was looking all momentum towards Mayra, and then Mayra gets taken down, I believe, and then one elbow. Nasty cut right above the eye. I knew as soon as that happened. The ref, as soon as they let him up, called in the doctor. The doctor pretty fast. It's just said no way, Josue. And it's the above the eye ones where the blood drips into it, where they're hesitant towards the eye damage, anything like that. They usually call those fights. And good on Macy. Really creepy smile in the replays when she landed the elbow. Blood starts pouring. She starts smiling, and she stays smiling because she got the biggest win of her career.
Yeah. Not a whole lot to say about that fight besides what he just said. The thing that stood up for me was she protested the stoppage, right? She wanted to keep going, so respect to her. The cut wasn't gonna get in the eye. It was huge. It was nasty, but it wasn't gonna get in the eye. So it's a tough one. I get why they stopped it, but then her jumping the fence, just blood just pouring out of her, and her going to Dana right afterwards, and just getting, you could just blood everywhere. You could tell who's ever next to Dana was not happy about that at all. So maybe wait until you're not gushing blood to talk to your boss about a bad stoppage, in my opinion.
And next fight, interesting case.
Nothing to say about this fight.
You have nothing to say about Roman Dolidze?
No.
Well, I'll just say this. Roman Dolidze beats Anthony Smith at light heavyweight, ranked number 10. Roman was the number 10 ranked middleweight. Of course, we kind of talked about this a little bit. These weren't the original opponents scheduled. It was all over the place, kind of last minute thing. Smith looked bad. Roman looked okay for a middleweight fighting at light heavyweight. But the most intriguing thing is that he is now ranked number 10 in both middleweight and light heavyweight. And he didn't have any plans to fight at light heavyweight, so I'm not quite sure if he's going to. He says he wants to. He looks small. Honestly, I don't even remember him fighting at middleweight. I can't. So he got his name here, I think, and I think he has potential to really do something as far as just creating a bigger name for himself. I would not test the light heavyweight boundaries too much. If he wants to get some big paychecks for some replacements like he is, I'm fine with that. But yeah, the leads didn't look quite as impressive. It's tough to say because he fought so much heavier. Smith, in my opinion, should have been a lot closer in this fight, especially being the veteran, the natural light heavyweight. So I don't know. Not a boring fight, not a really fun fight. Not really sure where the leads goes. Smith should have retired 10 fights ago, in my opinion. I think he's a great analyst. I think he does a good job. I think he should stick with that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a bad fight. No, nobody won that fight. Nobody's stock went up in that fight. It was a pointless fight to make. I don't know what Anthony Smith was doing. And that, in my opinion, these last two fights that we talked about, they should not have been on the main card of this fight card.
Yeah,
Those guys are not main card big pay-per-view names like just Macy and Myra and Roman and Anthony. Just no way. That's why this fight card for me was so lackluster. It was just missing something. I was only pretty stoked for Yuri and Alex kind of after everything had shaken up. Because this next fight was okay. It was interesting. It's just one of those pointless fights to me.
Diego
pointless for
Lopez,
the divisions.
Dan Ige.
Dan Ige taking the fight on 4-hour notice.
Baller.
After Brian Ortega, one misses weight, and then Diego Lopez cut the weight to 146, they said the night before, and then weighed in at 55. And then Brian Ortega got sick and then agreed to a 165 fight against Danny Ainge. So crazy circumstances happened. Hearing the commentating crew say, we have an announcement, and then saying on the live broadcast of the card that, there was a replacement fighter. That was pretty crazy to hear.
Dan Ige lived blocks from the arena.
Yeah, big respect to
He is the one that called up the UFC and said, I can save this fight. And he did. Lopez looked good. He ran out of gas in round 3, but I mean, honestly, with that many weight cuts, with that heavy of weight, I mean, I'm not quite sure, to all that extent, because I don't weight cut and I don't fight different weight classes or at all. But yeah, fatigue, I think looked great. I think looked fine. Dan Ige won the 3rd round. When you come in on 4 hours notice in a completely different opponent in a weight class that's 20 pounds over your weight class, and you look good, and then you win around at the end of the fight, I think his stock went up.
Yeah.
Dana loved it. Lopez's stock stays the same. It was a pointless fight. It was a fun fight. As far as just having that fight, Lopez has been destroying everybody. UFC 300.
They look pretty evenly matched to me.
Yeah. And I know Lopez wants Ortega again. There was rumors Ortega was trying to go to lightweight, 155. Lopez fights at 145. Well, they both fight at 145. He wants the Sphere. He wants Ortega. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you would do with Ortega. If he does go to lightweight, that's fun. A lot of new fun faces.
Yeah, he has to go to lightweight.
If he stays at featherweight, there's Lopez, and I don't know who else he fights. He's already lost to Volkanovski, Holloway. I don't really see him beating Pereira. So, yeah, we'll move on to the main event, the main fight. I mean, the only one really anyone cared about, maybe besides Ian Machado MVP, that was Alex Poatan Pereira versus Yuri Prochazka. I don't know what I expected. I thought this could have been a fun war. Alex just looks so good. Yuri's striking is just so unorthodox. Recap, I think Alex was just controlling Yuri the whole first round and then landed a really nice left hook at the very end of the round, saved by the bell. And then, I don't know, within 5 seconds of the second round, left head kick, knocks him out, finishes him. There was no controversy here. Yuri looked completely out of it. The one cool thing is they said they were watching the videos on Yuri beforehand, and their coach said he's leaving his head wide open for a head kick. Let's explore that. And that's exactly what they did.
I thought what they said was that Yuri posted a video of him countering the leg kicks.
Yeah.
And then they said, like, okay, he's going to try to counter the leg kicks. Like, instead of going to the leg all the time, go high every once in a while for that counter. So that was brilliant. And, like, I think even they said, be careful what you post to social media.
Yeah.
Too much technique, So, I mean, what's the point? Like, hey, throw in the high left kick. It's worked. It's knocked out so many fighters, I feel like.
We just hadn't seen it in the UFC. It was fun to...
Leon Edwards did it. Islam did it to Volk. I feel like we've seen that left high kick in championship fights.
John Jones to Cormier.
Yeah.
But we hadn't seen it from Pereira. We knew he was a kickboxing champion. We saw knee knockouts. We saw left hook knockouts. We saw...
That's what made it brilliant.
But we didn't see this left high... We hadn't seen any high kick knockouts.
What we didn't see was obviously the curse that Alex put on Yuri leading up to the fight, because Yuri was
Mm.
not the same, man. Yuri was like, I felt like he was shook and scared even during fight week, talking about all. And then the media loved it, and Dana loved it about, the whole like spiritual component to it all, and the magic or whatever it was that Yuri was trying to talk about. So Yuri was either in his own head,
Mhm.
or Alex really put a curse on him.
Or
Maybe both.
and I think Yuri was just really he was trying to be patient and he was being
No,
hesitant. I thought so, yeah,
that's
compared
not
to
his
his first fight.
style. It's not his style of fighting at all.
And I
He was different. Like his head wasn't in it, or Alex cursed him.
um yeah, so Pereira stock obviously through the roof.
Yeah,
300, 303. He wants to fight.
knocked him out at the end of round one with the left hook, with his trademark left hook, and then knocks him out 13 seconds into round two with a head kick. It was a flawless performance. Because, yeah, like you said, his stock could not be higher.
I can't remember. Did he say Sphere or did he say Perth? I can't remember.
Alex wants to go on one of those cards?
Yes, I believe. Maybe I'm crazy.
To go the Perth card would be. I mean, both cards would be great. I don't think we've seen the actual Sphere card.
Yeah, I've seen a
We've
little
seen
bit
the
of
rumors, but the Perth card, if Alex goes, oh man, I actually really hope Izzy beats DDP, and that maybe we get a rematch between those guys in the future. But if Alex goes up in weight, no chance of that happening.
Yeah, so that's what I was gonna say. I mean, you got the Jamal Hill fight, and you got
Don't care about that
Anklov
one.
fight.
Don't really care about that one.
I don't really care about him either. I watched a little bit of the Jan Blachowicz. I forgot that Jan almost finished him with leg kicks.
Dude,
multiple
Jan's one of the people that fought him the best. Is he knocking him out?
And that just made me think, what about if Alex lands a leg kick on Anklov? I mean,
yeah. I don't even.
Anklov's got the wrestling. That's the one big thing. Everyone's like, oh, what about a wrestler? What about yeah, I don't know.
I think the only fight to make, and Joe tried to set this up, is Alex at heavyweight versus John Jones, or maybe Tommy Aspinall. But like, I love Joe trying to do that at the end of the fight with Alex and saying, people want to see you go for 3 belts, 3 simultaneous, holding 3 belts simultaneously. I mean, he's not going to vacate one of them, right? I don't think they're not vacated, are they? Or is
well, I mean, he lost the middleweight.
Oh, that's right.
He would probably not vacate the light heavyweight because it needs a little bit of room to breathe anyway. I think this is the perfect time. Let some new contenders maybe come up. I think there's an Australian I talk about for light heavyweight. There's a few other light heavyweights that are coming up. Let the division breathe. When you clear out a division, sometimes it gets a little stale. You get rematches.
All of the contenders, I feel like, have been exposed as pretenders in light heavyweight. I mean, Johnny Walker. I feel like Jamal Hill's really had a tough time.
Yeah.
Who else was?
Volkov won, but he beat Johnny Walker. Yeah. Anthony Smith just got crushed.
There's not a lot at light heavyweight, so I think if Pereira, his next fight needs to be at heavyweight. Maybe but if you're gonna go up in heavyweight, are you really gonna try to do that in like 2 or 3 months?
Well, here's the thing too. It's weird because it's like, okay, so Curtis Blades and Tom Aspinall are fighting
for the interim,
for defending an interim belt.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's crazy. And then John Jones fighting Stipe. Stipe's last fight was 4 years ago.
I can't even tell you, man.
That is what it is. It was 4 years ago. I'm telling you. It's a fun legacy fight. And I get why the belts are on the line, and I get these guys both. No matter what Tom says, which I love Tom, and I think he's going to be champion, this is a fight you make, and it's a fight you make at the championship level, the belt on the line. But then what happens then? You have Tom versus Jones, or Tom versus Stipe, and then do you have the loser fight Alex, I guess?
You have to scrap Stipe versus John. Nobody wants to see that fight. Nobody cares about that fight anymore. Maybe 2 or 3 years ago, it had a little bit of interest, but not anymore. Not old Stipe, and John's only getting older too. Literally, nobody wants to see that fight. To me, it's worse than Chandler holding out for McGregor, man. They're trying to hold out Stipe to fight John so Stipe can have, the big fight before his career's over. No, nobody cares about that fight. Scrap that fight. You have to have John Jones fight Alex Pereira, or the winner of Tom Aspinall versus Curtis Beyblades, in my opinion. Like, if you don't have John Jones versus Alex Pereira fight each other, I think you're missing out on maybe the biggest fight of all time. The two guys, people like, Alex is going to be GOAT if he wins the heavyweight belt. That's taking over John Jones's GOAT status, right? So have the two people up for this GOAT debate right now fight, right? It's the only time you'll ever have something like this. I mean, it was like, you could have had maybe Anderson Silva versus John Jones fight each other, but they were friends, so they didn't do it. But two people that are literally in the conversation for greatest of all times duking out like this. Has there ever been anything like this before? DC, John Jones, maybe?
Volkanovski, number 1, number 2, Islam, pound for pound. But
yeah,
I will say that the Stipe and Jones does intrigue me. I think it shows if Jones can beat. I know he's older and whatever, but he was still the champion. He was still the most dominant.
Old, man.
Yeah, Stipe is old too.
Jones.
Well, they're both old. They're both the most dominant champions in their divisions. When you have the best heavyweight of all time versus the light heavyweight of all time fighting each other.
Stipe got slept bad, man. Like the last couple times he's fought, like DC knocked him out bad. Francis Ngannou's knocked him out bad. Like he's old.
Mm-hmm.
Like John hasn't gotten knocked out.
No,
it's not even the same. To me, if they do fight, I think John probably dominates Stipe. It's not even competitive, in my opinion. And I think John probably grapples him and probably strikes him. I think that's just the way that fight goes. I don't think you make that fight happen anymore. I think you have to scrap it, and you have to get lined up for the UFC. If you want to make money, if you want to sell pay-per-views, if you want to sell tickets, have the high gate, maybe the highest gate of all time, you do Alex Pereira versus John Jones. Maybe at the end of this year, maybe at the beginning of next year.
And Jones is smart. These are the type of matchups that he's probably like, ching, yes, please, give me Alex. You'd rather fight Alex Pereira than Tom Aspinall. 10 times out of 10.
I mean, you can exploit the weakness more, for sure, the wrestling. So, it's just like Alex Pereira's power is crazy.
It is.
So and Tom doesn't have that. I don't think Tom has that power.
Now, let me ask you, theoretically, Pereira knocks out Jones to become the heavyweight champion. Is he the best to ever do it?
It's the best UFC run of all time, for sure. Here's the thing. It's a run, right? It's like a 2 or 3 year crazy run where you collect all these belts, right? We got him a little later on in his career in the UFC. So the longevity of a career, right? People like GSP, people like Anderson Silva, people like John Jones that have had a longevity of his career. Now keep in mind, John Jones, I feel like there's 5 years, 6 years of his career where he's barely fought. And there's been a lot of, scandals involved. But Alex has got to be up there for the best UFC, maybe the best sports run. Insanity, man. This is like Pereira sanity. I don't know. There's got to be a better term for it. But we're going to be living in that, right?
And I love how the
McGregor run. The McGregor run.
This
is going to top the McGregor run if he beats the heavyweight belt, or if he wins the heavyweight belt.
And let's rate this one. Let's just rate this one. So, ranking system, white belt, terrible. Not even worth watching. It's your 2-year-old dropping off at a class, and you go shop at the mall. And then what's it?
Blue belt.
Blue.
You're cocky. Maybe you're young.
You're
some
2
stuff. 2 years into jiu-jitsu, you think you're hot shit. You're starting to learn leg locks. It's getting up there.
An okay fight card. Nah.
You're probably going too hard. Probably rolling too hard.
Not the best. And then we got
purple.
Purple. So purple's right in the middle.
Yeah.
So yellow
Purple's
sucks.
pretty good.
Or sorry, white terrible. Blue not really. Didn't live up. Not that good. Purple right in the sweet zone. Kind of what we thought. Kind of what we not thought. Whatever. Then we go brown. Brown's like, this was better than expected. This, and then we go black. We go UFC 300 as in comparison to me. That's black belt. You can't get any better.
That's a black belt
card. That's the best.
Yeah.
So pay-per-view, we're separating pay-per-view from non-pay-per-view rankings just because I think it deserves that. Because we'll talk a little bit about next week and you'll see. A pay-per-view event like this, I mean,
it's a blue belt. It's between blue and purple.
It's just blue for me.
Purple.
It's not blue or it's mine's more like a light purple, almost between white and
blue
purple.
Belt with a purple stripe, something like that.
Not good. I know the UFC did what they could to save the card. Dan Ige came in. They got Romanov came in. A lot of weird, sucky fights, injuries, weights, whatever. That's not what we want to see. Cuts. The only good fight to really was the main event.
And it wasn't even a good fight. It was a dominant fight.
Yeah, so that's the thing. There's better fight cards out there.
Alex had a curse on Yuri.
Actually, it's funny. But did you see, actually, he went up to Yuri. He said, Yuri, I'm a man of God. You're a man of God.
I thought that's what his coach said.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll have to see that. But interesting either way. Rose Namajunas versus Tracy Cortez. And I believe it was Rose Namajunas versus Macy Barber to begin with.
The battle of the baddies.
let's go top to bottom or bottom to top here.
Oh, I'll do Tracy top to bottom and bottom to top.
That's not what I meant. Fun fight. Rose is the most inconsistent fighter there's ever been, possibly. Looks dominant, destroys, head kicks UFC champions, knocks out Johanna, and then loses to Carlos Esparza and looks terrible in other fights. And Cortez, I don't know her last few fights. Do you know?
I think she's been fighting. She's been fighting the DMs and Instagram for sure, because I think most people have her as the cutest UFC fighter on the roster.
She's been around for a good chunk. So it's any of these guys.
This
Julian and Erosa.
Both these guys.
The first thing is Alex Bruce Leroy Caceres knocking out Julian Erosa is the first thing that comes to my mind when I hear Juicy J's name.
Is that in the tough?
No, that was like last fight. 2 fights ago.
Bruce Leroy lost a bad decision.
Leroy
lost a bad decision.
Head kick to Julian.
2 fights ago?
Yeah. I'm talking about Julian Erosa. I think that was his last fight.
Really?
Maybe. But I don't know.
Christian Rodriguez sounds familiar too, though.
I don't really know who he is. I don't know. Fun featherweight fight.
I feel like I know Christian Rodriguez, and I feel like we should know him.
Yeah. If I don't remember your name, then you haven't done enough. That's what I think of it. Don't know these guys. No idea. Anglusa Gabriel Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Muslim Salakov. Ponzinibbio. I've never been a Ponzinibbio fan because I was a big Gunnar Nelson fan. He knocked out Gunnar Nelson.
Are you sure this guy's name is Muslim?
I have no idea.
It looks like Muslim.
Well, Muslim.
Santiago.
I don't know.
So many Russian fighters.
Ponzinibbio has been fun. He's been around. I don't really.
Super exciting fighter.
Kind of.
Oh, it's Mike Davis versus Drew
Dober, the Doberman. The greatest jaw, the greatest chin as far as looks goes in the UFC, no doubt. He's Crimson Chin from Fairly Odd Parents.
Crimson Chin.
It's great. I love it.
Or who's the guy from One Piece with the he's gonna be in the next season.
No, he wasn't.
Or he's gonna
Iron. Yeah,
he's with Chopper when they go get Chopper. He's on that island with the doctor in the snow. Oh. He's got the big underbite thing.
Oh, you're talking about the guy that eats everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, Dober's fun. I think he's lost. I think he went on a good run and then he lost to somebody pretty recently. I should know this. But fun, great fighter to watch. Mike Davis. I think I had to have seen him fight before. Lightweight, tough weight class.
Sounds familiar.
Free fight. All right, moving on.
What is it? Mike Davis from the US of A.
US of A.
US of A.
USA.
And now we have
we have the main event.
Pat Barry Jr.
Pat Barry Jr. We have Rose Namajunas, former 2-time. Is that how you say it? 2-time champion. She was champion, lost the belt, became champion again, lost the belt.
I swear that people start to look like their pets, or their pets start to look like them. I swear Rose is looking like a little Pat Barry Jr. So Pat's little pet is starting to look like him.
And we don't have to. Well, maybe we get into that someday. But some controversy with Pat Barry, former heavyweight fighter in the UFC, and Rose Namajunas, his wife, who is, like I said, former.
Dude, one day we should just talk about all the controversy,
all the secrets,
all the controversy. Dude, a UFC scandal pod,
a controversy section,
scandal pod section. Why'd you say it like that?
Wow,
so you said section.
Section. I don't know. I mean, honestly, how excited on a scale of, let's just say 1 to 10? How excited are you for a free fight card like this?
I don't know. There's maybe 3 or 4 fights that are interesting.
I'll say 3. 3 out of 10 is my excitement level. We used to be really bad at this, but we used to schedule our lives around the UFC fights almost, or at least always had it on our phones, always on a laptop, at a restaurant, whatever.
We still do this.
Most of the time. This fight is one where I would be like, if somebody invited me to do something else, I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care about missing this one at all. It's free, which is the best price there is.